You know that feeling when the world is crashing down around you, and you're just standing there, completely powerless to stop it? Yeah, that was me, Lily Carter. And the thing that was crashing down was my entire life. I stood on the sidewalk, staring up at the building I loved more than anything in the world, the Carter Gallery. My father's life's work, my home. And in 72 hours, it was going to be sold at a public auction to pay off debts I never even knew existed until after he was gone. Betrayal is a cold, sharp thing. It wasn't just the bank calling in loans. It was my own business partner, a man my father called a friend, who had vanished, taking what little operating capital we had left. I was drowning, and no one was throwing me a lifeline. Just as the tears I refused to let fall began to blur my vision, a long, obscenely expensive black car pulled up to the curb. The window slid down silently, and a pair of icy blue eyes met mine. I'd know those eyes anywhere. They were splashed across tabloids and business magazines every week. "Adrien Knight, get in, Lily," he said, his voice a low, smooth command that brooked no argument. My heart hammered against my ribs. "I have nothing to say to you." A smirk played on his lips. "But I have an offer for you. One that will make all your problems disappear. Get in." Desperation makes you do reckless things. I got in. The interior smelled of leather and expensive cologne. He didn't speak as the car pulled away, just watched me, those blue eyes missing nothing. "What could you possibly offer me?" I finally asked, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and hope. "A business proposition," he said smoothly. "I need a wife. You need money. I propose a contract marriage. 1 year, no love, no strings. In return, I will clear all your debts and ensure the Carter Gallery is yours, free and clear, with a generous fund to restart." I stared at him, sure I'd misheard. "You're insane." "Am I?" He leaned forward, and for the first time, I saw something behind the Playboy facade, a flicker of something hard and desperate. "My father's will has a clause. To inherit his entire empire, I must be married within the next 30 days. A stable, respectable marriage. The board is skeptical of my lifestyle. I need a wife who understands this is a transaction. Someone who won't expect a real marriage once the year is over. And you chose me?" I laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "The most desperate woman in the city? I chose you," he said, his voice dropping, "because you're intelligent, you have a reputation for integrity, and you have everything to lose. That makes you predictable. And I need predictable right now." He slid a thick contract across the seat. "Read it. The terms are all there. 1 year, $10 million upon completion. All your debts wiped away today." My hands shook as I held the paper. It was a lifeline. A twisted, gilded, insane lifeline. It was also a deal with the devil. But as I looked out the window at my fading gallery, I knew I had no other choice. The penthouse was like something out of a magazine. All sharp angles, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a view of the city that felt like owning the world. It was cold though, beautiful, but utterly lifeless. Just like the man who owned it, Adrien stood by the fireplace, a glass of amber whiskey in his hand. "Having second thoughts?" he asked, that infuriating smirk back in place. "This isn't about feelings," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "This is about survival." I picked up the pen, its weight feeling monumental. With a final, silent apology to my father, I signed my name on the dotted line, Lily Carter. Soon to be Lily Knight. Adrien took the contract, his fingers brushing mine. A jolt, unexpected and electric, shot up my arm. His eyes flickered, just for a second, as if he felt it too. But the moment was gone as quickly as it came. "Welcome to hell, Mrs. Knight," he said, his tone laced with dark amusement. The next morning, hell arrived. My face was on every front page. "Billionaire Playboy engaged to mystery woman. Who is Lily Carter?" Reporters swarmed the gallery I was trying to save, digging into my past, my father's legacy, my failures. Adrien was utterly unfazed. He handed me a key card and a new phone. "Your old life is over," he said simply. "From now on, you're mine. You'll live here. You'll attend events with me. You'll smile for the cameras." "Understood?" I bit my tongue, nodding. I had made my bed. Now I had to lie in it. But that night, as I tried to sleep in the luxurious guest room, I heard voices, hushed, angry. I crept to the door. "A mistake, Adrien. If she finds out," a man's voice hissed. "She won't find out." Adrien's voice was cold, sharp. "She's not part of this." I stumbled back to bed, my heart pounding. Not part of what? I had signed up for a business deal, but the chilling certainty in his voice told me I had just become a player in a much more dangerous game. The engagement party was a nightmare of glittering masks and sharp smiles. Adrien's hand was a brand on my waist, guiding me through the crowd. I felt like a lamb surrounded by wolves, and then I met the she-wolf, Vanessa Sinclair, tall, stunning, and radiating pure venom. She looked me up and down with a dismissive smirk. Well, Adrien, I see you've replaced me with a simpler model. Before I could respond, another man approached. Damien, Adrien's stepbrother. His eyes were dark and calculating. And you must be the latest pawn in his game, he said, his voice a silken threat. I hope you know what you're doing, Lily. The air was thick with their shared history, with secrets and betrayals I didn't understand. Later, as Adrien was pulled away, Vanessa leaned in close, her perfume suffocating. A little secret, darling, she whispered. Everyone who gets close to Adrien ends up broken. Or worse. A chill ran down my spine. Was it a threat? Or a warning? The night ended with Adrien pulling me into the limo, his face like stone. He tossed an envelope into my lap. Inside was a photo of me leaving my gallery, with words scrawled on the back. You don't belong in his world. Leave before it's too late. I looked up at him, my blood running cold. Welcome to the lion's den, sweetheart, he said, his eyes burning with something dark. You shouldn't have gone looking. The text message arrived in the dead of night from a blocked number. Check your inbox. Mrs. Carter, you'll find the truth hiding in plain sight. With a sinking heart, I opened the email attachment. It was our contract, but this copy had a paragraph highlighted in bold, glaring red. In the event that Lily Carter fails to uphold the marriage for a full year, all Carter assets, including but not limited to the Carter Art Gallery, will transfer to Adrien Knight's sole control. I read it again and again. The room tilted. This wasn't a lifeline. It was a trap. If I walked away, if I couldn't endure a year of this, he wouldn't just keep his money, he would take everything my father had ever built. Rage, white hot and blinding, propelled me out of bed. I found him in his study. Explain this, I demanded, slamming the printed contract on his desk. He turned calm as ever. You finally read the fine print. You knew I wouldn't see it. You were waiting for me to fail. He moved closer, invading my space. You're looking at this the wrong way. I never said I wanted you to fail. Then what do you want? I cried, frustration and fear choking me. You, he said simply, his gaze intense. I knew you'd never willingly stay. His words were a confession that twisted everything. This wasn't about control. It was about possession. And that was so much more terrifying. Driven by a need to understand the man I'd married, I began to explore the penthouse when he was away. I found a hidden door, leading to a room Adrien clearly wanted to keep secret. It was a shrine to a past he never spoke of. The walls were covered in photographs, and in the center of them all was a boy who looked exactly like him, but with a softer, kinder smile. The same boy was in a yellowed newspaper article headline, Tragedy Strikes Knight Family, Young Heir Survives Fire That Claims His Parents, but the article was wrong. There were two boys, twins. Adrien found me there, his expression stormy. Find anything interesting? Who is Adrien Knight? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The pain that flashed across his face was raw and real. My brother, he said, his voice hollow. He didn't survive the fire. He told me everything then. How they were inseparable. How Elliot had a gift for seeing the truth in art, the stories behind the paint. How he had become obsessed with a particular painting rumored to hold a hidden secret. And how, the night, he told Adrien, he'd found proof of something big. Their house had mysteriously burned down. It wasn't an accident, Adrien whispered, the weight of years of grief and fury in his words. Someone set that fire to keep him quiet. He looked at me, and I finally saw the man beneath the billionaire playboy, a grieving brother on a relentless quest for revenge, the painting he was obsessed with. Lily, he said, his eyes locking onto mine. It's in your father's gallery. The world stopped. The painting of the woman in the field with a single white rose. The one my father always kept locked away, calling it worthless. My father had been hiding something. And that secret had gotten Adrien's brother killed. Just as we were beginning to trust each other, the world exploded. A leaked, doctored video splashed across every screen, portraying me as a master manipulator, a gold digger who had seduced Adrien for his money. My name was dragged through the mud. My gallery's website was hacked with vile messages. I was public enemy number one. I expected Adrien to pull away, to doubt me. Instead, I saw a fury in him I'd never seen before. He didn't hesitate. He called a press conference and stood in front of the world, not as a ruthless CEO, but as a man defending his wife. Lily Carter is being targeted, he announced, his voice steel. This is a calculated attack, and I will not stand for it. If anyone wants to come after Lily, they will have to go through me. He fought for me. He used every resource, every ounce of his power, to clear my name. But the damage was done. His company's stock plummeted. The board turned on him, and then Damien made his move. His threat was simple: step down as CEO, Adrien, or I will burn her gallery to the ground. I begged him not to. His company was his life. But he looked at me, and I saw his decision in his eyes. You are my life, he said. The next day, he publicly resigned, sacrificing his empire to protect me and my legacy. I had never felt more loved or more terrified, because I knew Damien and Vanessa wouldn't stop. They had taken his company. Now they would come for us. With Adrien's resources gone, we were vulnerable. The threats became more brazen. A dead rose left at the door, a shattered window, the constant feeling of being watched. We knew we had to find the painting Elliot's painting before they did. It was the key to everything. Under the cover of night, we broke into my own gallery, now dark and silent, its fate still hanging in the balance. We found the painting in my father's old office. Using techniques Elliot had taught him years ago, Adrien carefully examined the canvas. Under the layer of paint depicting the woman's white rose, he found another layer, a hidden map, coordinates, and a series of numbers. It wasn't a worthless painting. It was a blueprint, a guide to a secret vault where my father and a group of other gallery owners had stored evidence of a massive art forgery and money laundering ring, a ring we now knew was run by Damien and Vanessa. Elliot had discovered it, and he had been murdered for it. My father must have known. He hid the truth in the one place he thought no one would look: in plain sight. Disguised as art.as, we stared at the revealed secret. A single, chilling text came through on my phone from an unknown number. I know what you found. You shouldn't have. We weren't alone. We had the evidence, but we needed to end this. We decided to set a trap. Using the information from the painting, we baited Damien. We let a source tell him we had found a digital copy of the evidence and were hiding it at a remote warehouse. We knew he'd come himself. He wouldn't trust anyone else with something this explosive. As we waited in the shadows of the damp, dark warehouse, my heart was a drum against my ribs. Adrien stood beside me, a solid, steady presence, his hand never leaving the small of my back. Remember the plan, he murmured. We get him to confess. We record everything. Then we end this. The door creaked open. Damien stepped inside, his figure silhouetted against the moonlight. Hello, little brother, Adrien's voice echoed through the vast space. Looking for this? He held up a flash drive. Damien's eyes gleamed with greed and hatred. You always did have to play the hero, Adrien. Just like you did for Elliot. And look how that turned out. He took a step forward, and that's when we saw the gun in his hand. The plan was unraveling. He wasn't here to talk. It didn't have to be this way. Damien spat, raising the gun. You could have just shared the empire. But you always had to have it all. Father's favorite. The golden child. You killed Elliot, Adrien said, his voice low and deadly. Your own brother. He was in the way. Damien screamed, his composure shattering. Just like you are now. And her, he pointed the gun at me. She's just collateral damage. As his finger tightened on the trigger, a figure moved from the shadows behind him. Vanessa. But she wasn't there to help him. In one swift, brutal motion, she brought a heavy wrench down on his arm. The gun clattered to the concrete floor. I'm not collateral damage, Damien, she said, her voice cold. And I'm not your pawn anymore. While they were distracted, Adrien lunged, tackling Damien to the ground. The fight was brutal, a whirlwind of years of pent-up rage and betrayal. I scrambled for the gun, my hands shaking. It was over in minutes. Adrien pinned Damien, the fight gone out of him. The police, alerted by our silent alarm, swarmed the warehouse. As they led a cursing Damien away, he looked back at Adrien, a final, twisted smirk on his face. You might have won this round, brother, but you're still a fool. She'll never love you, not after everything. But as I walked to Adrien's side, slipping my hand into his, I knew Damien was wrong. The contract had brought us together, but the fire had forged us into something real. With Damien in jail and Vanessa cutting a deal for her testimony, the truth came out. The forgery ring was dismantled. Adrien's name was cleared, and his company was restored to him, stronger than ever. My gallery was safe, its future secure. The night the legal battles ended, Adrien led me to the rooftop garden of his penthouse. The city lights sparkled below us, a world we had conquered together. He turned to me, and for the first time, he looked unsure. "The contract," he said quietly. "It expires at midnight tonight." "I know," I whispered. "I don't want it to end," he admitted, his voice raw. "I know it started as a deal, but it became so much more. For me. Lily, I love you." He reached into his pocket, but he didn't pull out a new contract. He pulled out a small, velvet box. Inside wasn't a business proposal. It was a simple, stunning diamond ring. "Marry me," he said. "For real. Not for a year. Forever." I looked at the man who had been my enemy, my protector, my partner, and now, the love of my life. The contract had promised me money and security, but he was offering me everything. I took the ring box from his hand and closed it, seeing the flash of fear in his eyes. Then I smiled, tears of joy finally streaming down my face. "I don't need a piece of paper to be yours, Adrien Knight," I said, throwing my arms around his neck. "I already am." His kiss then wasn't part of any deal. It was a promise, a new beginning. We had started with a contract, but we were choosing to stay for love. And as we stood there, wrapped in each other under the stars, I knew our real story was just beginning. If you enjoyed this story of dangerous love and impossible choices, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new romance audiobook. Your support means the world. See you in the next story.